Hi, I'm Daphne Richards. Our question this week is, why do some plants die in freezing weather? Well, this is a great question, and there are actually a few ways that freeze damage occurs on plants. But most commonly it happens when the frozen water in the plant thaws out. Jerry Parsons, one of my favorite retired extension specialists, always explained this question with the challenge of an experiment. Fill a glass half full with water and put it in your freezer. Take it out the next day once it's thoroughly frozen and immediately place it under a warm stream of tap water and watch what happens. If you're not a science nerd like me, then I'll spare you the experiment and tell you what happens, but I bet you can guess. The glass will shatter as soon as the ice starts to thaw and crack, exactly as thawing plant cells will die as soon as the temperatures warm up. Some plants contain more water than others, especially in their leaves. A pine tree has very little water stored in its leaves, so pine trees don't generally freeze. But tropical plants are from climates where the humidity is high and rain is usually plentiful, so they have lots of water in their leaves, making them very susceptible to cold temperatures. Many plants also retain high amounts of water in their fleshy stems, so those too may freeze. Plants have different strategies for dealing with cold. Some die completely, leaving the next generation to carry on in their seeds. Others only lose their tender leaves and perhaps any tender new stem growth, while others die all the way back to the ground but have hardy root systems, allowing them to emerge after the harsh cold weather has passed. Our plant this week is heartleaf skullcap, Scutellaria ovata. This particular Scutellaria looks a lot like many of our blue flowering salvias, and there's a good reason for that. They're in the same plant family, the mint family. Even though heartleaf skullcap may look tender, it's actually a very cold-tolerant native plant that's normally evergreen in central Texas. You may even see them putting on new growth now at the coldest time of year, preparing their lovely, towering purple flower spikes for spring. In fact, this plant prefers the cold so much that it may actually go dormant to avoid our overbearing central Texas heat. I don't know about you, but I sure wish I could do that. Heartleaf skullcap grows vigorously via its fleshy roots and will creep around your garden, so be prepared to tame it back if it moves into unwanted areas. The oil in its leaves also confers some deer resistance, and the nectar in its flowers serves as a hummingbird attractant. The heart-shaped leaves are also very pretty, with purplish stems and a fuzzy surface. Heartleaf skullcap prefers to be kept a little on the dry side in dappled sunlight. It can be a little challenging to find in nurseries, but if you know anyone who has some, just ask, and I bet they'll dig up a chunk for you. To do in their garden this week, consider planting some asparagus crowns and maybe even some cold-loving herbs like garlic, chives, and parsley. We'd love to hear from you, so please visit klru.org/ctg to send us your questions or plants of the week from your garden.